We're a few days removed from Slipknot's The End so far. It's their 7th studio-produced record and is a project I couldn't wait to get my hands on. After the release of We're Not Your Kind, I was curious to see how the band would expand upon the ideas presented in that album and carry on that sound. With this being their final record under their long-running record label Roadrunner Records, I had high expectations and hopes for this album. Does it live up to being their final studio-produced project under the label? Does it carry on the ideas presented in We're Not Your Kind in a meaningful way? Honestly? Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome to another video, and man am I excited to be doing another music review, especially of one of my all-time favorite bands. But before I get into all that, I just want to give a huge round of applause and congratulations to the guys in the band for the end of an era. The End so far marks their final project under the Roadrunner Records banner. They've been with this label since 1999 with the release of Self-Titled and have gone on to make some amazing music with the label. This is truly the closing of a chapter, and I can't wait to see what the guys do next. I got to see them live last weekend for my first concert ever, and man, do they know how to put on a show. The set looked amazing, Corey sounded fantastic, and he was hyping up the crowd all while having the stomach flu. Everyone in the band did fantastic, and they show no signs of stopping anytime soon. The future definitely looks bright. Now, let's get into this album. The End so far consists of 12 tracks and clocks in at 58 minutes. This album contains some of the most unique sounds coming from the Not Boys and is their most experimental project made so far. There's a lot going on in this album that separates it from the rest and really makes it stand out, which honestly contributes to a great album. I thoroughly enjoyed The End so far, and there's a lot to love about it. Firstly, let's talk about my GOAT, Corey freaking Taylor. Corey was eating, munching this entire album. In terms of recent things the band has recorded, these are some of the best vocals Corey has recorded so far. The way he takes you on a new trip with each song vocally and how he switches from deep growls and screams to a more melodic pattern of singing is astonishing. A song that comes to mind is He 77, where I love his lyrics. Let me say the word. The original days of Self-Titled, and God does it really make that track. You can feel every emotion in each vocal he sings, and they're so clear. I adore Corey on this record. On a sonic level, I love how this album sounded. The scratches, man, Sid was going off on the scratch table. Songs like The Dying Song and Decide have Sid at his best and really placed a much-deserved spotlight on him. Every member brought their A game and were very present in making an album that is very sonically pleasing. From the samples to the scratches to the deep pounding of the drums, it just works so well on this album. Speaking of drums, man, Jay goddamn Weinberg, baby. Jay was a damn monster on this album. This is some of the best Jay has played so far. There are multiple songs in this album that made me go, God damn, Jay, chill out. Make me want to throw my table and have a stink face going on. Jay is such an underrated drummer and deserves way more credit than he gets. Songs like He 77, The Dying Song, and Hive Mind are Jay at his peak, and he not only makes those songs, but this album 10 times better. Jay gets 110%, and you can feel the passion in each beat. Can't forget Clown and Tortilla Man, as they also go stupid and give their best on multiple tracks on this album. The guitars sound really good on here. A song like High Mind comes to mind, where in the beginning we are introduced to this heavy riff. It's ingrained into my mind. I can sing it right now. It goes dum 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 dum. What? Yo, dude, I love that track so much. There are also some great guitar solos on here, like on a song such as Acidic, where Jim and Mick are left to their own devices. The guitars add to many songs on here, whether it be heavy or more melodic. Mick and Jim really knocked it out of the park. This album takes a lot of the ideas presented in We're Not Your Kind sonically and expands upon them in a meaningful way. Decide and Heirloom take the We're Not Your Kind sound, for example, and really make it its own thing. The best way to describe this album, and I think one of the band members described it, but it is like a heavier version of Volume 3. If you did not like Volume 3 or We're Not Your Kind, I really don't think you're gonna like the album this much. Though, there are some songs that I think all Slipknot fans are gonna really like off this one. Some of my personal favorites are He 77, Medicine for the Dead, Decide, and my personal favorite off the album, and I think the best off of this album, is Hive Mind. Everyone played so well on that track, and everyone plays off of each other's energy on that track. So good. I just can't get enough of that track. I have to hear them play it live. I have to. I'm gonna be in that mosh pit like He 77 is gonna get the mosh pit going too. I really hope they play those two songs live. Though I do enjoy a lot about this album, it is not without its flaws. I'm huge on how an album opens and closes, and I was not a fan of how this album opened. Adderall is the opening track for the end so far, and while it is a good track, it has no business being on this album. It does not set up the album in a meaningful way and just doesn't really fit for what they're going for, in my opinion. Like I said, I enjoyed the track. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll bump it, but maybe if they reordered it or put it in a different spot, it would have worked more, but having it as the opening track really does a disservice to this album. Speaking of track list, I just wish this album would have flowed more or have more cohesion to it. I wish the songs would have done a way better job of setting up the next track. It would have done this album great justice and would have made the songs, as great as some of these tracks are, it would have made them 100 times better and would have bumped this album up a whole notch for me. It just feels directionless at points and just doesn't flow as well as it could have. Maybe if they would have moved some tracks around or made it or set it up for a more smoother transition, not completely a transition but more of a setup to the next track, it would have really done this album great justice. With all that being said though, I had so much fun with the end so far and I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of discourse online about this album, and you know, whether people hate it or love it, I just think it's so cool that we're having a discussion about a band that's been around for 23 years. Dude, that is longevity an artist dreams of and works hard to gain, and it's so awesome that a band I love and that have really put time and effort into all projects that they've made is really being talked about as much as they have in recent years, starting with, I want to say, The Great Chapter. Teach their own on how they feel about each individual project that has come out so far. I rate the end so far a 8.5 out of 10. A great album that I would recommend my friends. If you're not into that experimental sound or that weirdness, or you just want some heavy, just straight heavy stuff, I would not recommend this album to you. Even though I do enjoy it, I would go look for something else if you're looking for a more straightforward, heavy album. This is very experimental and artsy, and I enjoy this album for doing that. That is my opinion on the end so far. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Is this the worst Slipknot album they've ever made? Drop a comment. I would love to have a discussion with you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you all on my next YouTube video. Peace.